Oh, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to the February Neighborhood Health Series. I'm Vanessa Maniago, and I'm the host of this series. And real quick, before we get started and I introduce our speaker and some news, I wanted to introduce our sponsor, and this is Craig Fraley from Clark County Credit Union. And yes, please applaud. Yes. Craig and Clark County Credit Union have been a sponsor with us for many years, and without them, we would not be able to do what we do and share information as we do. So I'm going to let Craig talk for one quick sec.
Thank you. I'm sure none of you have ever heard this before, but we are the Medical Field Credit Union. We're very honored to sponsor Roseman's Neighborhood Health Series. If you ever have an allergic reaction to banks, we are the cure. And you can join. I put some magazines down here. We're owned by our members. And one of the cool things about our credit union is we pay some of the highest interest rates on deposits in the country. For example, we have a checking account, and checking accounts usually pay 0. Ours pays 4% up to the first 25,000. So it's an awesome rate, and that's just one little benefit the credit union has to offer. So have a wonderful evening tonight and enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, Craig. Yes. And a quick thank you to Vicki and Cam up there too for their help in getting this event together. So before we get started, several of you have been with us for many, many years and have been faithful guests and come year after year. And you know that Roseman's been working on some very big goals, and you've probably seen in the news, and I just wanted to celebrate that Roseman's College of Medicine received their preliminary accreditation last week. Woo! Okay, great. And today we're very excited to open the application on AMCAS for students to start this July 21st, 2025. So it's a surreal moment, and there are many people in this room that have worked very hard to get us there. So we are excited to share that news with you. And so I would like to introduce our guest tonight, Dr. Cheryl Brewster. I should put my glasses on real quick. Cheryl Brewster serves as Roseman University College of Medicine Senior Executive Dean, and prior to joining Roseman, she came from FIU and from the Herbert Wertheim College of Medicine. As the Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion and Associate Professor, she was charged with providing leadership to the College of Medicine Dean to enhance the culture of the college by developing and overseeing a comprehensive diversity plan to include goals, policies, and practices as they relate to administrators, faculty, staff, and students. Over the course of almost 10 years there, she was actively involved in all diversity, equity, and inclusion activities, including the hiring practices of faculty and senior administrators, serving as a voting member of the Student Admissions Committee, and developing and facilitating numerous workshops for faculty, staff, and students. During her tenure at the College of Medicine, she implemented a medical school pathway program in partnership with minority-serving undergraduate institutions. Having received funding of $2.1 million to implement and expand the program, additional partnerships were formed with additional HBCUs. She has held myriad academic and research positions in New York, Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Miami, Florida. Her leadership in the field has been acknowledged as she was elected to serve a 2-year term with the AAMC Group on Diversity and Inclusion from 2016 to 2018. In 2017, her colleagues at FIU nominated her for the Presidential Award on Diversity, and she subsequently won that award. All of Dr. Brewster's work has been with medically underserved populations and researching the social determinants of health and the health disparities associated with the medically underserved populations. Her training is in community-based public health, and she has over 20 years of teaching health education and public health courses. She currently serves on several executive boards, including Building the Next Generation of Academic Physicians, an organization specifically founded in 2010 to address the lack of underrepresented faculty in academic medicine. We are recording this event. We're going to hold questions to the end, and please join me in welcoming Dr. Brewster.
Okay, test. Can we hear me? Everybody can hear me. Okay, great. People online, hopefully you can hear me as well. So I am recovering from a cold. There's still some grumblings going on in here. So if I go into a coughing fit, do not worry, I have cough drops and water. So I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and those are the folks that are online as well to hear me speak about how we can create a culture of inclusivity in the workplace. And so I would be remiss to not acknowledge some of the changes that have occurred over the past month with the new administration and different policies and procedures that have been mandated for us to change. And so one of the things that we have to think about is, with all this change, how do we continue to support the people that are currently in our workplace, but also make sure everyone that is invited to be in our workplace feels like they belong and that they have a sense of community and that they get along well with their peers. And so that is the goal of this presentation, to really talk about ways that we can create that sense of belonging for everyone, and to understand that when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, it includes everyone. No one is ever excluded from that conversation. And we need to be clear. And when we talk about that, that everyone understands that that's where we start and that's where we end, including everyone, thus the term inclusivity. So we're going to start with a little activity. You have posted, so I want it to be, okay, now that it's here, it doesn't work. Oh, okay, we're going to stand here and do this. It's no. There we go. Oh, we should have had that up. All right, so if you had a magic wand, you can choose to do this either on your phone or on the Post-it, and then I'll collect them. Imagine a workplace where you truly feel inspired, productive, and valued. What elements of that environment are necessary for you? So we can create a word cloud. There should have been a QR code that did not pop up. Huh. It worked in the fake one. Why didn't it pop up? Okay. Okay, well, we're going to do it on the Post-its and we're going to collect them. Take a couple minutes to write down a couple of words about a work environment that you feel is important to you in order for you to feel truly inspired, productive, and valued in that workspace. And you don't need to write your name or anything. These are all anonymous. It's just, what do you feel is the environment that you need to thrive? Okay, great. Perfect. The word cloud would have been really cool. I'm glad I had a backup plan. In the computer. Why didn't it come up here? All right. Is that everyone? Everyone submitted a sticky? A couple more? Okay, so what would have really been cool is the word cloud. But we don't have the word cloud because technology is not being our friend today. So I'm just going to go through and actually read a few of the responses here that folks wrote in on the Post-its. And then we're going to also take a few from the online crowd. Do you want to start with the online crowd, please, Vanessa?
Sure. We have open-minded and respectful, compassion, sense of belonging, empowering, and inclusive.
Awesome. So here we go. We've got positivity. We have respectful, inclusive, non-sexist, progressive. There's another word, but I can't read it. Non-racist, I think that says. Respect, appreciated, non-judgmental, authenticity, acceptance, wide variety of different folks, support for continuing ed, support for research on popular ideas under Trump, openness, I'm just reading what I'm seeing. Openness and honesty, no switching rules, no favoritism, autonomy, fun, mentorship. What the major change that's implemented, what's the objective? Wait, what is the major change that's implemented? What's the objective? I think that's a question that we can tackle throughout this process. Leading by example, being able to share a meal, sharing cultures and traditions, affinity for fellow workers in collaborating to make our organization the best it can be, excellent, competent leadership at the top. So a lot of this crosses over. There's a few things that pop out that a lot of people have said. So respect was one. Inclusive was on a couple of these. Honesty, autonomy. And so I think we're seeing some of the things that people want to see in the workplace that makes them feel like they can thrive in this environment. And I think it's important to point out that no one mentioned anything about, well, before I get there, let me make sure no one mentioned it. A workplace where I feel valued and respected, a workplace where my ideas, feelings, and expressions are heard without prejudice. That's about non-judgmental. A workspace where I feel comfortable and inspired, where I can be creative and innovative, and where differences are respected, where everyone is equal and has nothing to fear. These are all great responses of how we want to be in our work environment. And so how do we create some of these things for people in the work environment? How do we continue to support the folks, like I said, that are currently in our work environment so that they feel like they are able to thrive? So today we're going to go through some of these things and a couple of objectives that we're going to go through. We're going to talk about the 3 pillars: access, collaboration, and opportunity. We're going to explore strategies for implementing access, collaboration, and opportunity. And then we're going to learn ways that you, as individuals, can play a role in making that environment inclusive for all. So access. Access is about removing barriers to education, employment, and services. Broad, very general definition of what access is, right? Does everyone have equal access to the same things? That's the question I pose. Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, that's a fact. Everyone does not have the same access to everything that is out here in this world, right? And so how do we help folks that do not have equal access to employment, to education, to leadership roles, right? We're not saying, oh, we want to pick you because you look this way or you identify as such. We want to say, how can we help you get to the goals that you would like to achieve in your life? Okay? So we're talking about promoting equal opportunities for everyone in the hiring, educational, and leadership process. So what does that look like? Providing equal opportunity. So ensuring fair hiring and promotions and leadership pathways. So that is really some of the work that I do. in my role here at the College of Medicine. And so we do have students that are living in under-resourced communities, okay? They have maybe C, D, F schools that they're attending that have low resources. And so they're not afforded the same opportunities as a kid that goes to Faith Lutheran or Bishop Gorman or even Durango High School right down the street. So when we're talking about providing pathways, we're just exposing them, showing them that there are things that they can do in their world that will help them to achieve their goals, right? And so for students, it's about seeing and being able to see that there's someone that looks like them that is already in that space. So representation matters in the aspect of young people and showing them that, yes, you too can get here. It is about hard work. It is about determination, but it is also about showing them the path. If you don't show them the path, they will never find it on their own in most cases. When we're talking about promotions, a lot of people, the promotion process is tenuous at best. That is for everyone. Now, if you've been in academia and you know how to navigate that, kudos to you. However, there are a lot of people that are new to academics and they don't know that pathway, regardless of what they look like or how they identify. So demystifying this for everyone is important. How do I get promoted from assistant professor? How do I get promoted from a director to a dean? Like, what does that process look like? So transparency is key in this process of people understanding, how do I get promoted into leadership, right? And then once I get into leadership, how do I maintain that leadership? What are the things that are in place to support me that help me continue to grow as a leader and be that leader that I can show to other people and say, you too can be here where I am. And so that is a lot of the work that I do with my colleagues. Some of them are in this room. And so we don't do this in a bubble. This is about collaboration and working with our peers and our colleagues to ensure that everyone has buy-in to this process of creating a thriving workplace. Removing barriers to participation. We're just saying we want to actually go to the people. We don't need the people to come to Summerlin. Although it's a beautiful campus, a lot of the people that we work with have lack of transportation or lack of access to reliable transportation. So what do? We take our program to the communities where we are needed most, okay? We take them to schools. We take them to community centers. We take them all throughout the valley to ensure that we can touch as many children as possible, regardless of their zip code, okay? So that is what removing barriers is about, going to meet people where they are and actually addressing some of those barriers. So key point, I had Post-its, right? Technology isn't always our friend. So if I didn't have Post-its, we'd be sitting here just kind of yelling out a bunch of words. But I think it's important that we have multiple ways in which we communicate with people, right? We can't always rely on technology, although sometimes it's best. Sometimes it doesn't work when it needs to work. And so this is a prime example of having different ways to communicate so that we can all express ourselves the way we need to in the best manner possible. The other thing is about accessibility, ensuring that everyone has access to those platforms. And so when you think about, you go to a website, and how many people wear glasses? That is an actually recognized disability. Okay, people don't think about it, but under the ADA, it is a recognized disability, and websites should be maintained so that if you have visual impairment, whether you're colorblind, nearsighted, farsighted, legally blind, you should be able to adjust that website so that you can see it, not just everybody that is able to see without having to wear glasses. That is what equity is about. Ensuring that everyone has access and we remove those barriers. Then we want to empower people. We want to feel like our boss is supporting us. I don't need to stand over people and say, I need you to do this. I need you to do it this way because I'm the boss. No, I want you to feel powerful enough to say, this is how I want to do it and have the free range to do it the way that you see fit. What works for me doesn't necessarily work for the next person. So we have to recognize people learn different ways. right? How they manage is different. How they communicate is different. And we have to be malleable enough to recognize these differences in our colleagues and our peers and meet them where they are, right? And so one of the things I told my son, I said, well, why are you having trouble in this class? It was English. He does not like English. I told him he can't say he hates English because it's like hate is a strong word. Doesn't like English. He's like, well, you were good at English. I'm not good at English. And I was like, well, I'm good at English because I worked at being good at English. It was the choice that I made. I was like, you're good at math. I'm not very good at math. I didn't put a lot of work into math. We make a choice in life about the things that we like and the things that we don't like. And we tend to work harder for the things that we enjoy doing. But sometimes it's those things that we don't necessarily enjoy doing that we sometimes need to put a little bit more effort into to get that return on investment, right? And so when we're talking about empowering people, you have to allow those individuals to do the things that they need to do, but also support them through mentorship, scholarships, career development programs, and other various pathways for success. And so when we're talking about career development programs, a lot of folks in academia go to what they call professional development conferences. And everybody thinks, oh, these are just conferences where these people go and they party and do all these things, and they're not really learning anything. I can tell you for a fact, yes, there is partying going on. I'm not gonna lie, but it's always after hours. When we are sitting in session for 8 hours in a day, we are learning, we are absorbing things that will actually tie to the work that we are doing, whether it's research, whether it's teaching, whether it's program development. We are taking in all of this information because we want to impart it on our colleagues and peers and our students to make everyone better and to help everyone be at that same level. Okay? So these career development programs are super important, particularly for folks that are new to academia. If you don't know, how are you going to know if you don't go to some of these things? Building trust. A lot of people said trust, non-judgmental, psychological safety, right? We want to feel safe when we walk into the building. How many people have sat through an active shooter training? Do you feel safer? So what's the purpose of an active training shooter, active shooter training? Anybody know? Yeah. Ooh. Anybody else? Don't insult Rhonda. Yes. Theoretically. Tell me theoretically. You know, okay. Okay. What else?
Should or should not do in that situation. Not really to give you a sense of safety. The other stuff on the campus or in a building, security, guide, access, lock doors, those things are supposed to give you security.
Right. So some of this I heard and a little bit of what people were saying. So secure in your ability to access resources is really what it's about, right? Like, oh, when we went through the active training shooter, they said we should do this when this happens. Are we going to do it? I don't know. Never been in that situation, but we hope that we would use the tools that have been given to us to survive in a situation like that, right? So psychological safety, it's all individualistic, right? Everyone can feel safe in an environment, but we as leadership have to ensure that people feel safe in their work environment, in their learning environment, all right? The one space that most people have control over around safety is in their homes, right? So how can we as leadership, colleagues, peers, create this trust and psychological safety with our peers, right? Understanding that everyone is at a different space, at a different place in their lives, right? So I think someone said it really, a workspace where I feel comfortable and inspired. A workspace with, which one was it? Support, authenticity, acceptance. These are some of the things that provide that psychological safety for people. support, trust, accountability. Those are things that people feel like if something happens, the same punishment will be doled out equally to everyone. No favoritism. Someone actually wrote that. Okay. So when you're in a space and you feel safe, you're able to build that trust. And when that trust comes, collaboration comes. Working with your colleagues comes. It's a lot easier because you trust working with them. You trust that they have your back and they trust that you have their back. Sorry. The bottom line, access isn't just about providing resources, it's about fostering equity, removing barriers, and ensuring everyone feels included. When individuals have unrestricted access to opportunities, spaces, and resources, they develop a sense of belonging and empowerment. Collaboration. So collaboration is used a lot. It's like when people work together, like, oh, we're collaborating, we're collaborating. It's a little bit deeper than that. We can all work together, but we might not get anything done. But we collaborated on that, right? But we want to do more. So here at the College of Medicine, we like to say that we actually do collaborate because we have strengthened our community, not just our community at our UConn, but we think we've helped to support the community of Roseman University overall, right? We think we have a little bit of magic going on at the College of Medicine, and we also take that magic out into the community, right? And so we think that by having this collaborative mindset, that we can actually help folks in the community, we can help folks at our university, we can help folks at the College of Medicine, right? And we strengthen that, and we support one another. And you heard the hooping and the hollering when they said we got our accreditation, a preliminary accreditation. We are so proud of that. And we support one another in that endeavor. And we're a little happier today than we were last week when we didn't know, especially, right? Economic benefits. So there's a lot of research and a lot of data out there that talks about the bottom line for a lot of Fortune 500 companies. Creativity and innovation actually bolsters the bottom line for a lot of companies. So when you think about a lot of things that are going on in today's society, right? Backlash around the removal of DEI initiatives from a lot of corporations. There's been a lot of boycotts called for. People's bottom lines have been impacted. People like Target. A lot of folks lost a lot of money because people were determined to show their economic buying power. Okay, people have a choice of where they spend their money, and a community of folks decided that that was not where they were going to spend their money because of the stand that Target took. And so when you lose that creativity and that innovation, profits can fall. Data is out there. Productivity and organizational performance, right? And so when we collaborate, we also are talking about transparency. We're also understanding what each other does in the organization. And when we understand what each other does, what our roles are, and how we can work together to create something bigger and better, we actually outperform folks that work solo. Moral responsibility. Fairness and respect is at our core value. Should that not be everyone's moral compass? Fairness and respect? We've diminished on respect over the years. People shouting at each other, people getting on their computers being keyboard bandits, blessing folk out unnecessarily. We don't know who's on the other side of that keyboard. They don't know who I am on my keyboard. If I post something, you have an opinion, that's great. You can express your opinion. No problem. But it should be done respectfully. We can agree to disagree, but we should never, ever agree to denigrate one another. And when you have a work environment where people don't have respect and there's no sense of fairness, you implode. And that is guaranteed. Encourage shared purpose and contribution. People feel valued when they have a role in the collaborative effort. We can't say we're going to collaborate and then I do everything. That's not collaboration. Collaboration is about, all right, I'm going to take this part because this is the part that I'm really good at. What do you think you want to do in this scenario? Like, what is it that you stand out and you do well? Right? We try to find partners that sort of fill in where we might have a little bit of a deficit. Right? And that's when we make things go. Shared goals. We had a shared goal of getting that College of Medicine accredited. I'm going to always refer to that because that's our happy moment. Right? And so when we talk about that shared goal, everyone moved as one. When you have that shared goal, you move as one, and you accomplish a great deal more because everyone has that as the target. I'm not shooting to get another promotion. I'm not looking for another job while I'm typing up the curriculum. I'm focused on what is that we want to do? We want to be a med school. We want to bring healthcare to Southern Nevada, to the masses of the folks here who are short on physicians. That's what we want to do. Build trust in relationships. Has to be consistent. Right? People say, oh, I trust you. I trust you today. I trusted you yesterday, but I don't trust you today. Right? Has to be consistent. You have to show who you are every single day. You have to show up every single day so that your colleagues know who you are and what you represent. Collaboration promotes open communication and mutual respect. We go in with that. That's where we start. Our relationships become stronger in a supportive environment. I will tell you this. Many of us came to the College of Medicine for one person, and that is the dean of the College of Medicine. As you heard from my bio, I was in Miami, nothing like Vegas. There's no water here. There's lots of water there. Never rains here, always rains there. Good hair days here, bad hair days there. It ranges, right? Pluses and minuses to every community in which we live. However, one thing, my boss came to me and he said, I'm putting a team of folks together. I want you to be one of those to move west. I was like, what? Move where? Leave the beach? What? He was like, we have this great opportunity to start a med school in Vegas. I was like, people live in Vegas? What? So here we are, 5 years later, and we have a med school. But his vision, his moral compass and fortitude is what got me to move halfway across the country. There has to be something there for him to get 20 some odd people to move from Miami, many of whom born and raised in Miami, moved to Las Vegas. What is it about this man that allows him to have folks to follow him across the country? He collaborates. He has built trust. His relationships are strong. He's supportive. He's all the things that we want in a supervisor, that we want in a doctor. He's all those things. And that is why he got 20 people to move across the country. And so when he said his values were humility, we were like, yes, that works. Respect, yes, that works, right? We want to make sure that people understand when they come into our environment that we respect one another regardless. And so we have trust in our organization. We've built it. We've worked hard over the last 5 years to ensure that people understood when they came to this environment what we needed from them. We needed them to trust us because it's like, oh, you're not really accredited yet. Should I come? Should I not? What if you don't get it? There was a lot of those questions. But we like, trust us. We got this. And we've got you. Come on board. And they did. And we did it with everyone. Fostering open communication. Not once did we ever think, oh, maybe we shouldn't tell them what's going on in this process. Because sometimes you get into a school and they don't tell you anything till it's, we did it. right? Every step along the way, we needed everyone involved. We could not do this without everyone being involved. So we opened up the lines of communication. We were very transparent in this process. It wasn't just a handful of people filling out the accreditation documents, all hands on deck. If you got a paycheck from the College of Medicine, you were writing something in that accreditation. You were writing something, right? We heard everyone's voice. We might have changed what you said a little bit, but we got what you were saying. We heard your ideas. Everybody has something to say. Everyone has something of value. We have to just be willing to listen. And I hope you're hearing the theme here. All roads lead to respect. That's it. Like, that's the easy part of life. Like, they say you've learned all the things you need to learn in kindergarten. Please, thank you, yes, no, that kind of thing. We have the magic juice here, and it's about respect. That psychological safety we just talked about. A lot of folks these days haven't been feeling psychologically safe for good reasons. And so we want to make sure when people come to work that they feel safe, that they feel heard, they feel seen, right? And that they are able, once they feel safe and seen, to thrive and give us the best of them as we give the best of ourselves. Promotes recognition and appreciation. So this is one of my things that I think a lot of organizations do, but not necessarily well, right? And so one of the things that I started thinking about was, how can we develop awards that recognize people's hard work and skill and labor? And I think, it's not the everyone gets a trophy kind of thing that's going on these days with kids. I was like, no, you give that trophy back, you didn't win. So I want us to understand this is really about recognizing the people that put in the work and deserve it. And it's not about, oh, here, you get an award, and you get an award, and you get an award. No, you are nominated by your peers. That means your peers have to respect who you are. They have to acknowledge the work that you've put in, right? You are recognized by your peers to ensure that there is no favoritism. If your colleagues think that you deserve this award, they will vote for you. If they don't think you deserve this award, then they will not vote for you. There is no hand on the scale. The boss can't come in and say, give it to this person. It is solely up to your peers to be recognized. And that is so important. When your peers recognize you, it weighs a lot more than if the boss is like, yeah, you did a good job. When my peers are like, you did a great job, my heart just swells. Because that means I touched something in my peers. They didn't have to congratulate me on anything, but to be recognized by your peers is something special. So I feel like it is really important for people to be recognized for their work and their effort regularly. I'm not saying they need to get an award all the time, but just say, thank you. I really appreciate what you did today. Doesn't take that much effort to say thank you. Once again, respect. Enhances engagement and motivation. So we're still talking about collaboration. Working together makes people's tasks more enjoyable and fulfilling. I do not like to work alone on projects. Ever been in a group project? You're in a group of 4, and 2 of the people do all the work. Or one of the persons does all the work. That is not fun, but everybody gets the same grade. So although you want to slack and be like, well, if they didn't put in the effort, why should I put in the effort? I need a good grade. So I'm going to work hard, even though you didn't do anything. I'm going to do my part, and we're going to get the grade that we get. But I'm still going to come at you and be in your face and be like, why didn't you do your work? Right? When we work together, it's just more fun. We cut up, we laugh, we joke, but we get the work done. That's a good workspace. And then sometimes it spills over after work. and you're like, hey, let's go to a movie or let's go to a show. That's a good work environment where your people at work can be friends. They don't have to be. I'm not telling you go to work and everyone has to be your friend and everyone has to get along. But if we have respect as our foundation, as our baseline, then everything else will fall into place. Opportunity. So remember, this is the third pillar, opportunity, supporting career development, mentorship, and leadership programs. So one of the things that my colleague over here has created is a mentorship program for new faculty that comes in, right? So remember, I said a lot of new faculty don't know the ropes of academia. And when you don't know the ropes of academia or any organization, if you're new to any organization, you don't really know the lay of the land. It is always good to have a mentor to just sort of show you the ins and outs, the daily activities that go on in the organization. So you know, okay, this person is for this, and this person is for that, rather than having to search through the website to figure out who does what, where, when, and how. A mentorship can help ease some of that for you. Career development, a mentorship can also guide with that, right? We can say things like, hey, maybe you should go to this conference. This could help bolster your CV or your resume, right? Or maybe you should participate in this committee. This shows leadership. This shows collegiality. These are ways in which people can get measured in order to actually go up for promotion. And in organizations that don't necessarily adhere to an academia sort of worldview, there's different ways for different promotions to come along. And so when you're in, say, a corporate 500, Fortune 500 company, a lot of times they have these mentorship programs for folks, especially those coming straight out of college, to help them and assist them and guide them. Usually for the first year, if you're new to a board, I got on a board recently and they gave me a mentor for a whole year. I had a board buddy. So anything that you're new to, there should be some mentorship involved to help guide the way for you so that you're not flailing in the wind. Creating pathways for entrepreneurship, education, and professional growth. So one of the things I will say that our Dean Greer, has done, he has definitely created opportunities for entrepreneurship. And so I think with this idea of entrepreneurship, we're thinking, oh, you're starting a business. No, it is not necessarily about starting a business. It is about being creative in the work that you do in an entrepreneurial way. Right? And so with all of these things comes professional growth. Creating pathways for education is extremely important. So some data. In 2023, I want to say the data says 23 or 22, I can't remember, only 29% of Nevada residents had a bachelor's degree. 29%. So as we're building a med school, we're like, well, you gotta have a bachelor's degree to get a med school. So what are we gonna do? How are we gonna get this? How are we gonna get homegrown students? How are we gonna get Nevada students to go to med school? There are 3 med schools, 4, counting Toro, sorry. And in the 2024 medical school application cycle, there were less than 400 students that applied to medical school in all of the United States that came from Nevada. 400, that's not enough. That's just saying 400 students applied. That doesn't say that they were eligible, that they were appropriate fits. 160 got into med school across the nation. That's not even enough to fill all the seats for all 4 med schools. So we have a lot of work to do here. We have to create these pathways for young people in this state. We have to. Otherwise, we are going to get students from Utah, California, Arizona. They're not going to stay here. They don't know Nevada. They don't know Vegas. We need our students to stay here because we are in crisis here around healthcare and primary care docs and specialists. We don't have them. So we want to grow up. So that's why we need to have creative pathways for education for young people in this state. Advocating for fair policies that create equal opportunities for all. Fair is the bare minimum, right? Everyone wants to be treated fairly. Everyone wants to know that all policies apply across the board to everyone equally. And that is all we do. No more, no less. No one can tell us that we've done anything wrong ever, because we follow those policies and we say, everyone has an equal opportunity. Are you qualified when you walk through the door? That is all that matters. Are you qualified? And we like to think that we are going to be creating qualified students that graduate from our College of Medicine, regardless of what they look like. Ensuring the annual review process is fair, right? And so once again, this is where we come in and we talk about ways in which in that annual review process, there is transparency. What am I opening up the door to for folks that work under me to ensure that they have professional growth? I don't want someone to work for me for 20 years. I just don't. I don't want to work for someone for 20 years. If I'm working for the same person for 20 years, there's a problem. Sorry, Vanessa. The thought is you should want to grow. And you could still work for the same employer, Vanessa, in a different role. They don't have to work for me. They could work for someone else in the college. They could go to the College of Pharmacy, College of Dental, as long as they're growing in their career. That should be my goal for people that work for me, advancement in their career, if that is what they want. If they want to stay where they are and do what they're doing, I'm all for whatever people want to do, but I should never, ever prevent someone from wanting to take another position if it's a step up for them. I want them to get theirs like I got mine. Right? So in this annual review process, there's about transparency. What are the goals that you have for you in this job? Not what are the goals I have for you. You saw the job description. This is the job description. How are you going to make that work to your advantage? What are the things that you need to do in order to meet these objectives? Opportunity, faculty development. So same colleague that does the mentoring has a great faculty development series that she does for our faculty educators. Right? To ensure that they are ready to educate the future physicians of Nevada. That everyone has the same information when they walk into that classroom and can teach it in the same way consistently over time. Right? And they have all the tools and resources necessary for a great outcome. Not a good outcome, a great outcome. Because that's what's important, right? You don't want a okay doctor, you want a great doctor. Right? You want a doctor that knows what the hell they're doing. And so you have to ensure that when you're educating future physicians, that you know what you are doing. And the only way to do that is through faculty development. Widely publicized opportunities. When we look for faculty, staff, it's publicized everywhere. Everyone has opportunity to see these positions. We don't target one group or another. We put it out to everyone. Come join us. This is who we are. If you feel like you're a fit, we want you. That's it. Annual goals. Asking the faculty what institutional support or resources they need. I know what I need. I need to make sure that the people that work with me know what they need in order to thrive. These are things that we have in place at the College of Medicine. Overcoming challenges. So how, if you have challenges in your workspace, can you overcome them? The goal is to model from the top. Leadership has to be held accountable. We believe that we are held accountable. Our faculty and staff let us know. Pretty soon, our students soon will tell us when they are not happy. Students will be very vocal about that. And our faculty and staff feel like they have a space where they feel safe enough to come and say, hey, I didn't like this, or I would like to see this change, or I have an idea. Let me run it up the flagpole. They come and they talk, and we have conversations and we discuss how are we going to move forward with whatever it is that you suggested. Community engagement. My boss says we are not community engaged. What are we, Shayla? Community dependent. We need them. The work that we do could not happen without the community. I cannot create programming for students if I don't go to the community. No community, no students. We are community dependent. And because we are community dependent, we listen to the community and what are their needs. We do household visits. You have community health workers that go into the homes to talk to people. If you are not community dependent, how comfortable is someone going to be letting you in their home? That takes trust, respect, accountability. When you walk into some stranger's home and they allow you in. Consistency, show up every day. Show up as who you are. Be you every day. Be consistent about it. People know who you are when you walk through the door. We know who Maria is. We call Maria chatty, but we love her because she always has a great story to tell. If I want a good story, I'm going to see Maria. It's consistent, but I love it, right? It's like these things that we find about our colleagues, we're like, ooh, I like that about her. She's funny. She tells a good, funny story, right? Colleagues here, we like to go to lunch together. Where are we going for lunch today? Right? That kind of thing. Showing up for our people in good and bad times, right? It's put into place every day. Everything that we do, that respect is there for all of us every single day. Transparency, shared goals, progress setbacks. Remember I talked about our process over these 5 years of getting accredited was long, tedious, arduous, hard. But nowhere along the line did we say, well, maybe we'll just tell them when we get it. We needed everyone. And then we celebrated. We tried to celebrate. We tried to celebrate all together last Thursday when we thought we were going to hear. We were all in this room. The entire faculty and staff were in this room, crowded in this room. They had a wonderful lunch for us out there. We were all ready to hear the news. And then we just had lunch. It was a great lunch. We got to chat. We got to catch up with each other. Some folks work on one end, a different building. Hey, how you been? Haven't seen you in a minute. But when we got the news, we all celebrated that Friday morning. We were very excited about the possibilities of what we're going to do in this community. You don't know what you're doing if you don't measure it, right? How do you measure things, right? So you want to talk about representation and leadership, right? Everyone can't look the same. It just doesn't work. People want to have someone that they can identify with, right? I'm not saying that it has to be, but sometimes it's nice to look up and see a face that sort of looks like yours, or there's something that you have in common with this individual that you can go talk to them about something that you might have experienced. It could be language, it could be a differently abled person. Doesn't matter. It's just nice to have that person there. Employee and stakeholder satisfaction survey. So we put out a survey. RUHS puts out a survey. We give it to faculty, staff, and we will be giving it to students. We need to know patient satisfaction in a hospital is given when you leave. They want to know, did you enjoy your visit? Most times I did not. So I fill out that patient satisfaction survey. But we want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. You got to tell us what's going on because we can't be everywhere all the time. And so we have anonymous ways for folks to report these things, whatever's going on. What would you like to see? What would you like to change? Sometimes you don't feel comfortable talking to your supervisor about some of these things and you want to put it in the survey. That is what that is for. Retention and promotion rates. We track all of that for everyone. Who's getting promoted when, how fast is important. okay? Feedback, focus groups, testimonials. Once again, there's always a short answer opportunity at the end of a survey. Tell us what you didn't get to tell us in the survey. Tell us what you really think. And when you ask people to tell you what they really think, they tell you what they really think. And I love it. I want to hear it. How can we make change if we don't know what's going on? Benchmarking. We have a foundation. We have a starting point of what we would like to see as far as our standards at the university and the College of Medicine. And once again, that is our starting point, right? And we look at what the industry is doing. What's going on at other universities? What are they doing? How do we compare to them? That's what we need to know to see that we're making advancements. All the while, all of this data will be reported out in various ways, right? We can collect the data, but if we don't report it out, it's useless. So, action plan. Assess and understand the current culture. These are things you can do in your organization. It is just literally called a climate survey. Getting a pulse for what's going on in your organization. Surveys, focus groups, audits, all of that. Review your data. Data is what should drive you, not anecdotes, data. Anonymous feedback, we spoke about that. Measurable goals. So they're typically called SMART, right? Anybody know what that is? SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, what's the R? Relevant and timely, right? So ensuring that you have measurable goals and that those goals align with your mission and values. Remember I said my boss, humility was one of his biggest values and respect was the other. Implement inclusive policies and practices. Review your hiring, retention, and promotion policies to ensure fairness. Create clear anti-discrimination and anti-harassment policies. Discrimination and harassment do not create a safe space. Flexible work arrangements. Sometimes you have working moms. They have to leave a little early because they have to pick their child up from school on Wednesdays. What is the payoff for allowing that person? Could be their dad. Like my husband picks my son up after school. I don't have to do it. My husband picks him up, right? He's got a flexible work arrangement. He can leave a little early to go pick up our son because we don't have family here. Everyone doesn't have family where they live. So they are the ones that are providing their transportation back and forth to school. I love it when my kid decides he wants to stay after school till 5. I'm like, yeah, I get to work the whole day, right? Having that flexibility can make the difference for one person trying to manage their lives. We have to meet people where they are. And if you want to retain talent, it is imperative that you meet people where they are. I'm not asking for anyone to work less hours. I say, okay, you worked on a Saturday, you can take Monday off in the morning. If you worked 4 hours on a Saturday, I'll give you 4 hours on a Monday morning. Or whenever you want to take. I don't dictate when you take those 4 hours, but whatever works for your schedule, as long as there's no looming deadlines, then I'm okay. I'm flexible. All right. Foster that open communication and engagement, transparent conversations. Feedback is vital. Once again, we're monitoring, we're evaluating. How can we improve if we don't know what is going on? Data-driven results is what we want. And then continuous learning and policy refinement. We are refining our policies as we speak based upon mandates. We don't think that what we've been doing is wrong, but we will follow the law of the land, ensuring we get into no trouble. And we know that our policies will meet any standard put out there. So it is a bit of refinement that is going on, not much. Because what we started out with was respect, fairness, access, opportunity, and collaboration. If you have these things, your policies are strong. Closing thoughts. Focusing on access, collaboration, opportunity, organizations can create equitable pathways and ensure everyone has a voice in shaping the future of that organization. Questions? Oh, yes, I'm done.
This question for Dr. Brewster. I'm going to ask you to use the microphone so our guests on Zoom can hear you for that.
Or this. Hi, Dr. Brewster. It occurred to me while you were talking about continuing education and access and et cetera. It's kind of ironic that, and I understand why, and I understand it's like this everywhere, but faculty get 5 times the money that staff do to attend like conferences where they're going to learn more, et cetera. That's a huge inequity that I don't think serves the organization. And how do we advocate for non-faculty to get a bigger chunk of the pie for their own improvement in the work that they're doing for us?
That's a great question. I think one of the things that I've been conscious of, because at our last institution, staff didn't even have that. So we've advocated for our staff to at least have, yeah, most staff don't get that opportunity, but our staff here does, right? They do get something. And one of the things that I've built in, and I can only speak for what I do for my team, right? It's like, let's look at what's going on. Let's see where the money is and where you want to go to, how much it's going to cost, where does it fit into the budget? And if you find that you can find 3 things that you want to go to that fit into that budget, I'm all for it, right? I try to ensure that there's also things that they can do in the workplace that lead to their development, their professional development. There's also things locally that I sort of throw out there, and hey, try this, you might want to do that. That might be free or low cost for people to attend. So I think we have to be creative in ways that we are developing our staff, and it can't just be, oh, they should go to a conference, but what is out there? What do we have internally and externally in the community that we can sort of send their way, that they can engage in? And as they start to move up that ladder, those opportunities will open up. But you're talking about sort of institutionally things that have been in place for so long that, you know, the fact that we have staff development funds now is a huge leap forward. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I think as the faculty development person, I just wanted to say, we also have different responsibilities and we ask different things of faculty versus staff. And so a lot of the faculty development resources that are provided in terms of conferences are required because of their roles, right? So it's not like it's just nilly-willy done. And I don't know that we'd ever get to an academic institution where we have that equity in that sense, mostly because of what we're asking you to do as your job, right?
Correct. That is correct. Any other questions?
Questions? I'm going to go check the
Concerns,
chat.
comments?
Okay, come on down to you.
Yeah, as a somebody that doesn't know the ins and outs of a medical school, can you talk about accreditation? What does that afford you now, and what situation were you in the first 5 years in terms of what you could or could not do?
Yes, great question. So to become accredited, there's an entire process. There's a board that comes and goes through this whole checklist. It's a huge checklist of things that you have to have in order to receive accreditation. And so over these past 5 years, that's what we've been working on. And honestly, for the first 2 years when we first got here, we couldn't do anything because it was COVID. So we sort of just did our stuff that we could, and we were very skeleton. So there were not a lot of people in place. We were able to have planning meetings, We were able to go out into the community, start building those relationships, building that trust with the community, because we knew we were going to be going into the community with our faculty and our students. So we started doing activities in the community, getting the community to know who we were, and not just showing up on their doorstep on day one, we're accredited. No, we've been here, you know us, you're comfortable with us, right? The other thing is, when you're in this process, you're also sort of documenting everything that you're doing along the way to ensure that you're following all the policies and procedures that it takes to be accredited. So there's no teaching going on. There are no students in the building. We are literally building the med school from the ground up. Preliminary accreditation means we can accept students in our first class. We can matriculate students July 25th. And so what you're finding now is that we have our curriculum, it's done. We have our admissions process, and they're done, and we will start doing admissions stuff in the coming weeks because we already have applicants. And so right now, it's all engines go, right? The med school will literally be open for students. What day? That's the white coat ceremony. July 21st is the first day of school.
A couple questions.
Did that help? Uh-huh.
On the chat here. Okay, Anna Sampson, do you want to unmute yourself and I'll help you? Go ahead, Anna.
Hi,
We lost you, Anna.
oh no worries. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, a little bit. Can you try again?
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Dr. Brewster. Thank you so much for this talk. It was really encouraging, especially given like the current climate around DEI. I was wondering if you could talk about how the med school is specifically going to be implementing DEI initiatives and community involvement.
Okay, so let's start with how are we going to implement DEI? So, as you know, we've been mandated that our programming no longer necessarily consists of DEI. And so this idea of who we are as an institution is around having core values, right? And remember, I said our core values are around humility, respect, fairness, things of that nature, right? And so that is how we move as a school with our faculty, staff, and with our future students. Everything that we do sort of is predicated on these values that we have, on our mission to ensure that everyone has a fair shot of everything. We offer programming that is for everyone. No one is excluded from our program. We think of it as cultural enrichment, and we will continue to do cultural enrichment activities. We will look at ways in which they align with current mandates and ensure that we're not doing anything illegal. So, you know, we are right now in the process of reviewing everything and making sure that as we move forward, that we don't get into any trouble. But the culture that we have created will continue to exist as it is. We don't expect anyone to just all of a sudden wake up and be like, well, I don't have to be respectful anymore. That's not going to fly with us, right? Because we've created this culture at the institution where everyone knows who we are and what we're about, and we will proceed in that manner. Community. We are already out there in the community. We have our Genesis program, which is, once again, been in the community for the last 3-4 years. They do the household visits. They are always doing events in the communities all around Vegas in so many zip codes, I don't even know where to start, Shayla. And that you'll find us, like we have these beautiful cars that are running around the streets of Las Vegas that are painted by local artists. And so we engage with the community on a regular basis. We are involved in different organizations. We have probably between the two of us over 200 community partners that we work with on a regular and consistent basis. My programming, the Aspire program, we do STEM programming with schools. We do them with community centers. We have a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. So we go to the community and we do STEM programming with our collaborators and community partners. Does that answer your question?
Anna?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
Gabrielle, do you want to unmute?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Dr. Brewster.
Hi, Gabrielle.
I just wanted to say I appreciated your presentation so much. I think these conversations about DEI are so important, and especially in medical education. So I just appreciate your presentation. But as a future physician or med student, I think that we should always strive to have a more inclusive healthcare system. So what advice do you have for aspiring medical students or trainees on how we can advocate for DEI within our own education and our future careers?
That is an excellent question. We have to play within the parameters which have been built, right? However, you as an individual student, I always tell the students that they have a lot more power than they actually think they have. Your tuition dollars drive all of what we do, okay? So you have leverage there. Don't tell anyone I said this. That's just a secret between you and I, Gabrielle. But the thing is, you want to make sure that you're collaborating with your peers and your faculty, right? You don't want to go out on an island on your own. You want to have the support of the folks around you, thus you'll be more successful. I would say some of the things, let's say you're at an institution where they're no longer able to talk about health equity. You can do things in student clubs that don't fall under that purview. That's your personal time when you meet as a student club. You can bring in speakers to talk about these issues. You can, under the purview of a student club, do different activities in the community to help educate yourself around things. And I would say, once again, do not do this in a vacuum. Please rely on your faculty and sometimes your staff to assist and guide you in that process of entering the community and working with the community to understand more about health equity and social determinants of health. Did that help?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions in our audience here? Okay. Want to go ahead? Nina?
At a past institution, one of the things we found that really helped change, or not so much change or improve, but really helped foster the environment that had the things that you mentioned, was they did some really in-depth, very practical and useful bystander training. And it was, very good at saying, hitting somebody over the head with what you think about their behavior is rarely all that productive, even though it might be satisfying in the moment. But it was really interesting because the people who felt the most disenfranchised noticed that people at the top who had had the bystander training would stand up and say, okay, that was belittling, that's not acceptable. Or you only call on this group of people in the meetings, you never call on this other group, that kind of thing. So I was wondering if we're looking at maybe doing anything like that.
Yes. Yes, we are. I thought I lost my mic, but I was like, that was the pack. Yes, so there's a few things coming down the pipe. My colleague here has already done a workshop. There will be some more coming up over the next few months around bias and bystander training. All of that is coming down the pipe. We just haven't done it because we haven't had the full complement of faculty, and it just felt like, let's get everybody. Once everybody's on board, then we can do something. And I think it'll be more meaningful because there'll be more people in the room to have these discussions, and I think they'll be more rich and more people to learn from. And the conversation will just go a lot smoother, I think. So people don't feel put on the spot. Yeah. Yes.
So, taking away from this,
Oh, yeah, because the people online can't hear you.
So Dr. Brewster
Okay,
doesn't
what I'm
use her voice.
taking away from this as a retired teacher is there's two ways to skin a cat. And what I'm taking away from this, take away the acronym DEI, you can still do your thing. And it just hit me, bing. And just don't call it DEI because you don't want to make you know who mad. And you know who I'm talking about. Mad.
I have no comment.
So I like that. And, in my way, I'm gonna kind of spread that little idea. You know what I mean?
I mean,
To the young people who
I-
we know
I-
are working.
yeah, no, I think so people might not like when I say this, but I do think that DEI made us lazy
Made us
Lazy.
lazy.
as practitioners of,
Because you just stuck to.
because you just stuck to it,
Okay.
right? Like, if I wanted to create a culture where everyone felt like they belong, it is not just about diversity,
Right, right.
right? It is really some of these values that people have.
You go on a little
Yeah.
sticky pad.
Those are the things that are meaningful to people in the work environment, not what does this person look like? Who is this person? What do they do? When you bring this group of people together that might not look alike, might have opposites in thoughts, ideas, behaviors, that is the rich culture that we want, right? And there's different ways to go about doing
About
that.
doing it. And so, like in life, so many times what people meant for good turns out to be, no, meant for bad turns out to be for good.
Yeah,
So by trying to do away with it, you're actually making us better and
Yes.
stronger.
I think that is 100% facts. Yep,
And doing what they're going to do.
yep.
So I'm glad I came because that's
I'm glad you came too.
that's it.
Okay.
I'm not going back to work, but
It's okay.
but
You-
we can spread.
You
it.
can teach one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know what I'm going to do.
That's what you can do.
Okay.
That's so beautiful.
We're going to let Dr. Brewster just have a break because she's losing her voice and she's getting
Yes.
over being sick, and we appreciate her time. If anyone
Thank
has
you.
remaining questions, they can come up and maybe she can whisper. But thank you all for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Brewster. And we will see you next month.
Oh my God.
Thank you, everyone.
Spray this. And I realized I like tossed into it once.
Oh, nice.